Welcome back once again, fans of Let's Be Real podcast. Today we're here with Omar and Sahel to preview the Grand Copa del Rey final that's going to hold at the Olympic Stadium in Seville on Saturday. And Omar actually, Barcelona fan. Now we're going to call him a frenemy because like Omar is basically, our friend. Also, he's a friend from the, opposing side. So we're going to just, refer to him as our frenemy. But before I get to Omar, let's just, quickly do some housekeeping and just talk about, the fact that this episode is sponsored by Manscaped and to support the channel and also to do some grooming using the premium male grooming items. You can, check out of the description. You can check out the links that's posted in the description below. Using the code LBR20, you can also get a 20% discount while you check out your products on the Manscaped website. Furthermore, also this episode is sponsored by Fanatics. You can also find the links to the website of Fanatics, who are major dealers for all kind of male and of course female sports apparels as well, for all kind of sports, either it's NBA, it's MLB, and not just football. So any kind of sports that you're looking for out there, you can always find the gears there as well. And just finally, to also highlight the fact that we are fans. We are part of the Talksport Fan Network, and you can also find the links below. Check us out, and give us some love, show some love to the channel, and just let's get to Omar. Omar, as I said, he's a friend of the channel, and you can also find his links below in the description. So please just show Omar some likes, show him some love, and yeah, let's just keep it all civil. So yeah, Omar, welcome once again. It's we've been doing this for a while now. So how are you doing, man?
Hey man, third time on the channel. Last two times I was here, it went well for me during the El Clasico. So just hoping for another one, man. Hopefully, we get the job done, and we have obviously another game to go. So we'll probably do this again later on. This is it this month or it started next month? Yeah, started next month. But yeah, man, always happy to be here, man. I appreciate you for having me, brother.
Yeah, it's always great to have you on. And as you said, you've been quite fortunate, to because I don't want to use the word lucky because I mean a 9 to aggregate has nothing to do with luck, that's just the reality of things. It's
Yeah,
been
facts.
quite a successful,
100%.
appearance from you on the show so far. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I see Sahel is actually not
Yeah, I think
Sahel is
so.
actually gone. So like maybe we can just quickly just delve into things like so all what's happened this morning
That's
or
how
this
he's back.
afternoon, depending on what your timeline is. So
Yeah,
just
it's,
take
it's in
us
the afternoon. Yeah, we're in the afternoon over here.
yeah, okay. So yeah, just tell me like because for me it was in the morning, like I saw this shenanigans happening this morning. So like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just tell me like what's your take on all the whole thing? Of course, I'm referring to the whole Real Madrid TV video and then the response from the referee and also let's just make this clear. The referees did not organize a special what's it called? Media session. The
Mm.
referees always hold a media session before every Copa del Rey final for the last 4 years. So it's not like something that was, impromptu, like just organized out of the blue. So it's important to have this information out there, you understand? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just take the floor, man.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, this is not the first time we've seen clubs complain about clubs complain about referees all the time, right? For me, this for me takes the cake out of like the worst ones because at the end of the day, you know what it is. You guys have complained about referees, and that's not even the issue, right? Because we complained about referees last season, right? And some fans, like I remember last season when Xavi was complaining about referees. I remember, Ancelotti responded by saying he would not go to that level. I mean, it's crazy. We thinking about that and looking at this season, how things are the roles has reversed, but still, it's not about complaining referees. That's the problem. For me, the problem is more to do with the fact that, the threats that the league has been, the club has been making. Because here's the thing, no federation in the world should ever buckle under this kind of pressure. Because when you do, you basically ruin the whole thing for everyone else. Because what basically Madrid are complaining about and when they're threatening to do, if they succeed with it, then everybody is going to know how to go through it. Because a lot of people have the same problems that Madrid have when it comes to referees in this league. You understand what I'm saying? So if they feel like, oh yeah, this referee has it against us, yeah, well, if he's the referee for the Barca game tomorrow, then Barca are not going to turn up. We'll be like, well, listen, we're not going to turn up. And if you say anything, guess what? You did the same thing for Madrid. Keep the same energy. So you can't let them get away with this. And obviously, as fans, for me, it's an embarrassment for you to do this. You understand what I'm saying, right? Like, you can complain about referees, you can complain about the federation. We do that all the time. That's not the issue, right? It's when you're starting to threaten to no-show games. It's when I'm like, okay, this is too much. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because what you're going through, you're not alone. Like, I've had moments as a Barca fan where I felt like I've watched my club being screwed. I've watched moments where I felt like Madrid have had favorable decisions go their way, right? Just like a lot of Madrid fans would say the same, right? So this idea that exists, and also this idea that exists that just Madrid are the victims, it doesn't make any sense. And for me, what really got to me was the statement that Madrid actually came out with, where basically they said they didn't like it's because basically the tone of voice. And I'm like, this is just clownish. You understand what I'm saying? Like, what are you trying to
and we
prove
agree.
here?
We agree. I think for the most part.
The tone. It's like, what are you're worried about the tone? So basically what you're angry because they dared to respond. No, you guys made a video basically calling them out, calling out the referees, right? Having footages of like where you felt like Madrid was screwed during league matches. So Madrid decided we're gonna respond. The referees decided, no, okay, we're not gonna sit down, lie down, and let you guys ruin our name. We're gonna actually respond, right? And then that's what they got angry about, because the referees dared to respond to the video that RMTV basically came out with. It's like, come on, makes zero sense. At the end of the day, you don't have to be happy about it, but everybody is a victim of this. And yes, we all complain. But the moment you start saying, well, we're not going to turn up in the final because we don't know what's going to happen during the game. Like, at the end of the day, all La Liga can do is say, all right, well, listen, you guys want to forfeit? By all means, do it. And the only ones who are going to be angry are the Madrid fans, because it's going to be like, yo, you've just given them a trophy. If you forfeit and we win the Copa del Rey, there's the league and the Champions League still there. You could potentially give us a treble because you literally hand us the Copa del Rey trophy. I'm like, well, listen, at the end of the day, you gave us the trophy because you didn't want to turn up. You could have stopped us from winning the treble. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, Omar. So let's just interrupt you there. Let's bring Sahel in to give us the Real Madrid perspective of things as well. Because I one thing for sure, I think is Real Madrid's not going to forfeit this game. I don't think there's hell will freeze over before they'll forfeit this game. You understand? But yeah,
no, I don't think so either.
Let's see what Sahel sees from the Real Madrid's perspective.
And probably the one thing they can do to make this right is to show up and actually win the game, probably against all odds, right? Because we saw the sense of entitlement when Real Madrid decided not to go to the Ballon d'Or ceremony. Just a few months back, that was not a long time ago. And we got called out on the same thing. Fans all over the world saw the kind of, arrogance that this club can, sometimes show with when it feels that it's been wronged on the world stage. And not everything has to be us against them. Not everything has to be us being the victims, right? Because I don't know, I understand the sense of privilege we as Madrid fans have to watch our team, win Champions Leagues 2 of every 4 or 5 years. Other fans don't necessarily have that privilege, and when those standards come into question, you start losing sight of a little bit of humility, if I may, because it's just arrogant to threaten to boycott an event and think that they'll come begging back to you, because La Liga probably won't. Tebas probably won't care, right?
Yeah,
so this sense of entitlement is something I think even a lot of Madrid fans will agree with and decide to call the club out again, because it's not like we don't have bigger problems to address, bigger issues to be taken care of this season. The way this team has stuck in terms of progress under Carlo Ancelotti this year, a lot of the players regressing performances, that is what the club should be focusing on, rather than releasing Real Madrid TV footages of compilations of refereeing mistakes and whatnot. I agree, there's refereeing, like Omar said, there's refereeing problems in La Liga, but that's something that everybody struggles, that everybody has a problem with. Even the sides battling for relegation, they suffer from it as much as we do. They just don't have as much of an audience on their TV channels to actually make a big deal out of it. So they just move on with their days.
So that's the thing, right? So like you pointed out, which is where you guys have both pointed to two sides of things as well. So the point is, you mentioned the arrogance that we see with this club, but it begs to the question because I have watched Real Madrid since 2008 more or less, and never once have I ever felt this club is so out of touch with reality. Because you started from the point, which was a very great reference actually, Sile. We saw what happened in October when Vinicius apparently did not win the Ballon d'Or. That was absolutely shambolic. And when you consider the fact that the best player that has played for Real Madrid literally went to the Ballon d'Or around 4 times while he was playing for Real Madrid. I think four, yeah. I think either four or 5 times while he was playing for Real Madrid, went to the Ballon d'Or, sat on the front seat with his child, his mother, his girlfriend, while Messi was winning the Ballon d'Or. So if you can do that for the best player that played for your club, then who the hell is Vinicius Junior? What's he done? So this begs the question, like I kind of feel like there is a shift, or rather, let's say like there's a shift in culture. Maybe I'm wrong because as I said, like I haven't watched Real Madrid my whole life.
It's an entitlement. You know what it is? Now, this is the thing. Let's be real. I get it. Madrid are a club of royalty, or that's what they prove to be. But there's a difference. In my lifetime, watching Madrid, I've never seen Madrid move like this. You understand what I'm saying? Where they just feel like everything is just entitled to them. It's not like I get it. Madrid fans expect the world, they expect Champions League titles. Like that's always been the case. But I got to a point now where they feel like they are owed that. Like it has to be given to them. You understand what I'm saying? And if it's not given to them, then how dare the people, not give them what they want? And that's not what you want. You understand what I'm saying? Like you just mentioned, the Ballon d'Or thing. I get it. I was one of the people who thought that Vinny should have won the Ballon d'Or. However, so you don't win the Ballon d'Or, you decide, all right, we're not going. Well, here's the thing. If the next time a Madrid player wins the Ballon d'Or, then does that mean that the rest of the world doesn't have to go to the Ballon d'Or ceremony since you guys decided to not turn up? Because if they do that, guess what? What is Madrid going to say then? They're going to try to make it seem like everyone hates Madrid. That's why people didn't want to come in. No, it's because you guys have shown that you are terrible losers. Basically, you don't take defeat with grace in certain things, right? Sometimes I feel like that is the important thing. It's not about, oh yeah, we're Madrid fans, I'm a Barca fan, so every time Madrid do something, I'm always gonna laugh. Listen, I'm telling you now, what if my club did this? You can be damn sure I would have called the club out, president out, anyone associated with this whole situation out. Because I'm like, bro, don't embarrass me in front of the world. Because people are going to be laughing at us. You understand what I'm saying, right? Why are we, because we didn't get what we want, throwing our toys out of the pram? You understand what I mean?
The issue with this is like it kind of feels like it fits into the narrative that the club is literally empowering certain attitudes. Because as we've seen, like with Vinicius Junior, and also when you look at the whole, this season, or let's say the last more or less 16 months, the last 12 months, or rather the last 10 months, under a microscope, but you kind of see like there is a kind of shift in the attitude of what Real Madrid players used to be. As I've said in the past, we saw Cristiano, we saw Ramos, we saw those guys, the Casillas, the Pepes, the Varans, like the Modric, the Cruzes, and the Di Marias and all those guys. And we saw how they used to move, how they used to behave. That's why I said like I am like not that old, so like I haven't watched Real Madrid for a long time. Maybe someone, for instance, like we have actually in the comments, maybe he's seen Real Madrid more, maybe he knows better, maybe he's seen this kind of behavior. But I kind of feel like it fits into the narrative that the club is enabling the behaviors that we're seeing from Vinicius, the behaviors that we're seeing from Jude. And let's not forget about this as well. Maybe Omar, you're not aware or not. Well, literally every other week for the past almost 7 weeks, we've had one player missing because of suspension. And then when you go to see why this player is actually suspended, it's because they were saying something to the ref. It's because they were, talking back to even Carlo was suspended in that period. You understand? So it kind of fits into that narrative. And then you look at the game against Arsenal. There was this whole social media circles. Oh, we're gonna come back. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, how many shots on target did we have that game? We lost at the Bernabeu. Even the goal we got.
You didn't have a shot on target until the equalizer.
It was a gift, bro. It was a gift. It was a gift from Saliba. You understand? So I kind of feel like again, all this noise, it's kind of like trying to mask the problem, which is that the team is not functioning.
Mm-hmm.
As you actually like when we were back, Omar was actually mentioned to me as well that they're creating an excuse before whatever happens in the game. If Real Madrid loses, they'll be like, "Oh, but we told you the referee's biased." All right, anyways. Well, I just want to ask Sahel now on this. Sahel, do you remember any game that we actually genuinely lost because the ref didn't allow us to win, or the shambolic performance? One game that comes to my mind.
There's just one that comes to mind where Mbappe did not get sent off, and then we lost to
Thank you very
Espanyol.
much. Thank you very much. So are you telling me now that you can't beat Espanyol until they're 1-1, the 1 man down? If this is what you're saying, Real Madrid cannot beat Espanyol 11v11,
No, we
then I
absolutely
agree.
should, but that's the only one that's right off the top of my head.
In that case, then
where the refereeing mistake is
it's not the fault of
impacted
the
the
referee
game to
that
that
he
level.
lost. In that case, it's not the fault of the referee. Oh, the referee made a mistake, but he had no impact on the results. If you cannot beat the team 11v11, then I'm sorry, we should just fold the club and move on. Espanyol, for that matter. We should just
I agree
fold
with that. Our standards have fallen so low now that we don't find ourselves capable of beating that team. But that's the only one that can, that you can
the most
genuinely
ridiculous decision
put
I
out
have
there.
seen this season actually was in favor of Real Madrid. The double touch by Alvarez.
Yep.
Till today, I don't even know what the hell the double touch is.
That is a rule that they just create. Like, that's the thing. We never knew a rule like that existed.
It's a rule that exists. A rule is a rule, I agree. But the point is, when you look at that, like, did Alvarez actually gain an advantage from that? Who actually saw that?
And that's why it should have been retaken. Like, the fairest rule should have been retaken it, because we know when a keeper gets off his line, sometimes the goalkeeper doesn't notice that his foot is off the line.
So
that's why they always tell the player to retake the pen.
This is the point. Like, the refs are absolutely garbage. Everyone knows and agrees with this. So, like, the idea that we as Real Madrid are like come on now, let's not even go there. Come on, I remember watching the games against Bayern Munich during the three-peat. There was 2 seasons where we were playing Bayern Munich. Honest to God, sometimes I felt like, okay, yeah, there's a narrative against Bayern. Because like there were certain instances
like, remember Juventus,
for sure.
Like, that's the thing. Like, this is the thing. As a Barca fan, right?
Exactly.
This is why, like, if you remember, even me as a Barca fan, I've never been afraid to call out when I feel like referees have favored us in games. I always talk about it. When my Chelsea fans always tell me about now, I'm like, well, listen. Yes, I'll be honest. When I remember that to both games. I remember in the first leg, we should have had 2 penalties and it was not given to us, right? 2 clear-cut penalties when Henry was taken down in the box, right? Eto'o, and both Henry and Eto'o in the game. Then it wasn't given. Second leg, what happened in that game? I always say it to this day. I said, brother, that was one of the most corrupt games I've ever seen, because there's no way you can see 5 blatant penalties not given, bro. Like, something must have been wrong. So these guys must have really not wanted to see another All-English final. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, that must have been it. Because, brother, I don't know how the 5 different penalties, like they literally 200, like you had PK, what's his name? Eto'o. You saw Anelka get taken down in the box. You saw Drogba get taken down in the box, and no penalties were given. I always said it. I'm like, 2011 when we played Arsenal, Robin van Persie's red card was a disgrace. He got sent off for kicking the ball 1 second after the ball was the whistle went. The offside whistle was blown. Like, this is all situations where I can say my club has actually favored from referees making errors in the game, right? And obviously, this tag has followed me as a Barca fan all my life, right? And it happens to every club, because even Juventus fans, they still talk about that game. Bayern Munich fans, they talk about, the amount of times they played Real Madrid and they felt like the referee screwed them. You understand what I'm saying, right? But you obviously, as fans, we are always going to be biased when we feel like this happened. Like, I remember a few seasons ago when you guys had, like, I think 10 penalties in like the whole season. And those penalties were like vital penalties that actually help you get 3 points. I remember I was fuming in that season because I was like, bro, how are these guys always getting pens whenever they're struggling in games? You understand what I'm saying? So as fans, we will always sit there and call out the little things. But when it gets to a point where when you start saying things like, we are not going to go into games, or we're going to leave this league, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. As the Barca fans, I've been sitting there saying, listen, man, I'm tired of this league. Because, bro, I feel like these guys, for the past few seasons, Tebas has been trying his best just to screw us over every time. Every single time. It's not just once or twice or 3 times or 4 times or 5 times. He does this every single season. He's always doing something against Barca, right? You just know he's always going to do something. But at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do. Because if Barca can't leave La Liga, because if we do leave La Liga, if we go to another league, first of all, that's going to ruin the league. And I don't think the league is going to allow it. They would rather get rid of Tebas before they get rid of Barca. You understand what I'm saying? But in any case, as a Barca fan, or for many Barca fans, we can say, well, we are not angry because of anything that's happening on the pitch, or referees, or any of this. We're just angry because we feel like the president of La Liga has something against us. That's why I want to leave. It has nothing to do with what's happening on the pitch. But the problem with what Madrid is doing is that it is what they're talking about is affecting the pitch, which means that if La Liga choose to apply with favor Madrid, everybody now is going to say, well, we want the same thing.
Yeah. But anyways, man, I think this is a discussion that's not going to end. I just think, we've had, a bit of rant and everyone has just let out the frustration, what is or what is not. So maybe we can just move towards the game itself. And, Sahil, what are you, expecting to see? I know we talked about this briefly, after the game against Getafe. But anyways, like, what are you expecting to, see? Like, we know that we are having some, I think players are out. If I remember, Kamavinga is totally, absolutely out for the rest of the season. I think that's just it, more or less. We know that Ceballos also is getting back to full match fitness, and so what are you expecting to see in terms of gameplay, for the final tomorrow?
Yeah, I think I'll speak about them first, because there's certainly a lot more to mention about Barcelona game wise than us as of recent, because this is a team that, as opposed to Real Madrid, are in touch with reality, and they've made everything work this season with what's been given to them, right? Even with limited resources, they've picked up kids from the academy. They've made it work. Gerard Martin at left back, brilliant pickup. Right? They've made a 36-year-old Robert Lewandowski be in contention for Pichichi. And they've just used multiple players all over the pitch who, before the season, maybe people wouldn't have considered, worthy enough to wear the shirt. But Hansi Flick has made it work somehow. He's put players in holes, and he's fixed problems that were sort of niggling Xavi's tenure. So that's one thing that I really admire about them. They're playing out of their comfort zone, playing at the Montjuic with obviously two very informed and talented wingers, Rafinha and Yamal. But that's not all. We have players of that profile, but we are not able to find the right kind of balance in our team. And the balance Barcelona have found defensively as well. This is a team that's flourished on both ends. It's not just relied on its wingers to score goals and for Lewandowski to play, the way he does. So that's something I admire about them, and that's the kind of profile of team that we have struggled against, right? Particularly Arsenal as well. They weren't just good in one department; they were able to do it defensively as well, and they were able to score past us. And Barcelona have already this season beaten us twice in humiliating fashion, which is concerning to say the least, because they will put goals past us, and there will be a lot of action on our end of the field. There's no denying that, because our defense has been very leaky, to say the least. I just think if we can come up with a firepower to score more, I don't think that will be a 0-0 or a 1-1 at the end of the 90 minutes. I don't think there's extra time in Copa del Rey.
I think there is Copa. Yeah. I think
is it, or does it go straight to pens?
No, because remember, I mean, unless they changed it recently, but I think last time we played you guys, obviously in 2011, it went to extra time, and that's
right. I think even 2014 also went to extra time, right? If I remember correctly.
No, that didn't go to extra time. You guys scored late.
It was a late.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So on our end, I just think I'll keep this very short. It can be either of two things. It can be either a very motivated performance. Obviously, we've seen motivated performances this season that have been nowhere near structurally, making sense. And I don't think any performance between now up until the end of the season is going to make any tactical sense, because it's too late in the season now to develop patterns in a team that's struggled so much this season. But I do think we can see a motivated Real Madrid team after everything that's happened thus far, because it is a final and it is Barcelona. So the bloodthirst for revenge will be there in some of these players. I do expect Vinicius to bring on his A game, Bellingham as well, Mbappe maybe with those runs in behind the Barcelona defense, because that is something that the high line has been guilty of conceding as of late, Barcelona. Apart from that, our defense I do see struggling, but Thibaut Courtois is going to be there to handle that. Um, Omar, would you look at this Real Madrid team and say this can be something that can be, inflicted hurt upon, except well maybe the fullbacks?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, right? I know, obviously, I would say since the international break, Real Madrid have not exactly come back to the league season. To like your season since the international break has been poor, right? Even in games where you guys have won, you've not looked impressive, right? Combinating to what happened in the Champions League against Arsenal. Uh, I feel like in the game against Getafe, you guys handled yourselves well. I mean, there was a good rotation. Guys like Ada Güler played well in the game, Brahim Diaz. Even though, Ancelotti hasn't really utilized these guys enough. I feel like he hasn't utilized these guys enough.
Exactly.
I think he should definitely try and utilize them more in the game against us. I think Güler is a very, very good player who I rate very highly, right? If you look at Barcelona's team, unfortunately, we have no Lewandowski, who actually, let's be real, last two games we played, you guys, he actually played well. He scored goals in both games. Alejandro Balde, he balled out in the Super Cup against you guys, right? He's also missing in this game. You're right. At the end of the day, if you look at Barcelona, the biggest credit goes to the manager Hansi Flick, because he's the guy who basically, he believed in this team, believed in the squad. And you're right. At the end of the day, I didn't expect us to be as good as we are this season. But that's credit to him and credit to the belief that he's given to the squad. And look, if I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, we are definitely bleeding in this game as far as like some of the players that we're missing. However, right, Madrid, they have a lot of good players, and this is the thing. At the end of the day, this is El Clasico. So whatever happened in the past two games, it's not gonna sway me to come here overconfident at all. Because I've watched too many Clásicos in my lifetime to know that anything can happen. And Madrid have a chip on their shoulder. Let's be real. Like, we've beaten them the last two games, and also, like I mentioned earlier, this could potentially be a treble winning season for us. So if anything, this is just going to be more motivation for them to say, listen, man, we cannot allow this. You understand what I'm saying, right? If we are not going to win the league, if the league is too far away, we can't let them do this. You understand what I'm saying? Because they are like a few games away. But, at the end of the day, your squad is still good. Don't get it twisted. Mbappe is back. He will play tomorrow, right? So, he did play well. I guess he scored in the last time we played you guys in the Super Cup, right?
Yeah, first 5 minutes, I think.
Yes, I mean, Vinny has had a poor season. Like, he's had a fall off season this season, unfortunately for you guys. But Vinny's still Vinny. He can still wake up in this game against us. So I'm definitely going to be cautious going into this game, right? I'm going to be cautious. I mean, your midfield, Valverde. I mean, I know people talk about Bellingham, but truth be told, Bellingham doesn't worry me as much, because I know that when it comes to Bellingham, he's usually at the right place at the right time, which is still credit to him, because that just shows how good he is positional wise. He knows where to be to get the ball in the right areas, right? But for me, I feel like guys like Federico Valverde are going to be the key. Now, earlier today, I was talking to a Madrid fan, and he was telling me that he wants to see Valverde play out in the fullback position because he's worried about Lucas Vasquez playing in that game. He doesn't want to see Vasquez start. You understand what I'm saying? Because let's be real, Vasquez in games like this is an extreme liability. You understand what I'm saying? So he wants to see Valverde play in that position because, Gerard Martin, who, we know defensively he's
Omar, let me just interrupt you. Sorry, but I mean, because we're talking about that position, I just want you to tell us about Rafinha, because Rafinha, this is a player that, if I'm not mistaken, was being looked to be moved on. So you can get Nico Williams, to pair him together with Yamal and, terrorize defense. And all of a sudden, right now, if the season ends today, Rafinha wins the Ballon d'Or. Like, how did we go from that, the outcast who literally was out of the team, who, nobody even wanted? Like, that's how low his stock was. Like, literally, no one even wanted to take him in from Barcelona. So just take us through that. Like, how did we go from that to this point where, like, we are worrying so much about who we're going to play against Rafinha?
I mean, that's Hansi Flick for you. That's Hansi Flick for you. That's the only thing I can say. Because Hansi Flick has done this before. When he was in Bayern, if you look at guys like Serge Gnabry, look at Serge Gnabry now to how Serge Gnabry was when they won the treble. He was looking like one of the best wingers in the world when he played under Hansi Flick. And look, I'll be honest with you. I feel like in the second half of the season, Rafinha has kind of been quiet. I'll be honest. I feel like ever since he's come back from the international break, he has been very cold. You understand what I'm saying, right? However, you just mentioned it. At the end of the day, Rafinha is still Rafinha. I mean, even in the game against Celta Vigo, he scored the equalizer and the winner. So we know that, you know,
The
he can
numbers are
have
still there.
yes. You know, he has a tendency to turn up. You understand what I'm saying, right? And in the last game, he was actually rested for Ansu. So he actually came on in the second half. So, you know, he will start in this game. And we definitely need him. I'm not going to lie. We need him to turn up for this one, man. Because without Lewandowski, we're going to need Yamal and Rafinha, especially because he's been our best goal scorer apart from Lewandowski. So we're definitely going to need him to turn up. But I'm not going to lie. You're right. At the end of the day, I was one of the people who wanted him gone. I thought that, you know, he didn't really offer much to our attack. You understand what I'm saying, right? But he's definitely proved me wrong this season. And you're right. At the end of the day, he's at in a Ballon d'Or level right now. You can't really deny it, right? I mean, look, if I'm going to be there, I feel like the quality of the Ballon d'Or has kind of fell off a little bit this season. However, if we're going to be perfectly honest, right, no one has really been doing, maybe apart from maybe a Salah, maybe people can use, but I don't think Salah is going to win it considering what Liverpool only achieved this season is the league title.
I don't think anyone is, because he has 60 goal assist combination this season. So yes. I don't think anyone is at that level. You know, it's crazy.
No, yeah, exactly. But if you look at, like, especially with Barca, we could potentially, like I mentioned, win a treble or even just the Champions League, because we know winning the Champions League usually helps, you know, boost players' chances of winning the Ballon d'Or. Exactly. You understand what I'm saying, right? Yeah. It boosts it very, very highly. Either win it or they're like second. You understand what I'm saying?
True.
So for me, I think that, you know, having Rafinha, if we win the Champions League this season, I think that's him winning the Ballon d'Or for me, right? And you know, I can't say he doesn't deserve it because he's definitely been the most improved player in Europe this season for sure.
Yeah. So like you just talked about like the whole, you know, mental gymnastics that's going on with your team, you know, with Balde being out. You also mentioned that, you know, Lewandowski is out and you guys had to rely on, you mentioned the name of like Ansu Fati for the game at the weekend. So can you just tell us what you expect?
Ferran Torres will start in the game, to be fair.
All right. So just take us through what you expect to be your lineup tomorrow for the game.
Okay, very quick lineup. I'm expecting Flick to go, obviously, in goal. He's gonna 4-2-3-1 formation. He's gonna play Chesney in goal. He's been reshuffling the defense a lot, like the two center backs in the game. What I would like him to go for is obviously Kunde at right back. I want to see Araujo because I feel like, you know, he brings physicality in the game, right? And we're gonna need that. But he does have the error in him. But I would play Araujo and Kubashi as a center-back partnership, where Hector Fort is, for me, the one I want to see. Even though I think he's going to play Gerard Martin, I think Hector Fort played so well in the game last against Mallorca. I want to see more of him because he offers a lot more. He's very skillful on the ball. Midfield, De Jong. I expect to see De Jong. We're going to start with De Jong. Pedri, Olmo will be in the 10. Yamal out in the right, Rafinha out in the left, and Ferran Torres will be the starting striker in the game. And look, in the Copa del Rey, he's actually not been bad. So, I mean, he scored a lot of goals in the Copa del Rey. I think he's one of the top goal scorers in the Copa del Rey, if I'm not mistaken, because he did score in the last game against Atletico Madrid in the semifinals in the second leg. I think in both legs he scored. But yeah, that's my lineup.
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting, because like one thing that stands out to me is the fact that, you know, like you didn't include Inigo Martinez. So is Martinez available for the game, or?
Oh yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah, I think he is. Listen, at the end of the day, I'll be first to admit to you, Farouk, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not gonna guarantee he's gonna play that center back partnership I just mentioned, because he's always changing it every game. Doesn't matter who we play.
Okay.
It just depends on the mood that he's in. He can play Inigo and Kubashi, Inigo and Araujo, or Inigo and what's his name? Kubashi.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? He could just play. There's so many options he can play if he wants. But I just think for me, it really depends on how you guys set up in the game. Is Ancelotti gonna go brave and play the diamond? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. If he does decide to play the diamond, potentially we could see Araujo play, maybe. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. That's my partner. That's the partnership I want to see personally. But I'll be first to admit I'm not 100% certain that he's gonna play that.
Honestly,
so like
I wish Real Madrid fans could say the same about our centre back partnership. You know, having too many options afforded to us, because right now we've just got Raul Asensio and Rudiger, who are both fit and capable enough to be playing there regularly.
If you think about it, we were in your position at the start of the season. When we played
Yeah,
you
to be
guys in
fair,
the
yes,
first
that's why.
Clasico,
Mentioned.
remember, we only had 2 centre-backs fit.
Right. And because Flick made things work, he can pick kids off the academy and somehow blend them in. We just have Raul Asensio, and he's the first in a few good years to come through the academy and really make a proper name for himself in the first team. He's also been compared to Sergio Ramos a lot, but
He
as
has that
compared to
aggressivity.
as compared to La Masia, obviously there's not
To be
enough
fair, I
returns.
say that, but you know what it is? The problem with Madrid is, and I've even said that, I'm like, you know what it is with Madrid? Madrid are not even bad at producing players. They just don't trust their own academy.
Right.
Because
That's
if
what
you
I was
think
going
about
to.
the past few years, right? You've seen Nico Pass, how he's done since he's left. You look at how Miguel Gutierrez has been doing at Girona.
Antonio Blanco
Look
as
at
well.
Ashraf Hakimi, another one who just fell off your lap. You understand what I'm saying, right? You guys have actually produced so many good players in the past few years. If you had just believed in them a little bit more, and some of these players I just mentioned, it's not like they weren't showing anything. Like you could see that some of these guys have potential, but it's the same thing you just mentioned. Like Madrid are now they don't really trust their youngsters. And sometimes it's good to just, like, nobody's saying just start them every week, but just keep them as an option. Like you guys, I remember seeing Nico Pass in the preseason
Champions
when we
League.
played you guys, right? We beat you guys 2-1. He actually scored an amazing goal in that game. I thought, yo, this guy's a good kid.
Right.
Just a shame that he's not going to play. And I knew he wasn't going to play. And look at him now. Like, he's been balling out in Italy.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, before we go to the Real Madrid side of the lineups, we can ask for that. Let's just go through the chat and see what the people are saying. Ashik is here. He says, hello, Ashik. He's saying, the report says Mendy is starting at left back tomorrow. Marca being one of the sources among others. He says, I guess Yamal will break Mendy's other leg now. Okay, let's see. And Sinead was in the chat as well, big up the panel, big up Omar. And Ashik was saying Real Madrid 5, Barcelona 0. There is no law against outrageous predictions. Yeah, of course, outrageous predictions. And Ashik was responding to Omar. He was saying, no, Omar, this is the first El Clasico of the season. There hasn't been one Real Madrid last minute win last season. Okay, so he's just basically going into the belief that all the games we have played is just, in an alternate reality.
Coping mechanism, man. You got to love it.
Yeah, he's also saying Barca was never screwed. Fake news. Barca even complains about the sun being too hot, but Mario TV needs to chill out. The action usually works against us. Yeah, that's true as well. And Teva still doesn't care because Copa del Rey is administered by REFF, not La Liga. So it's by the Spanish league, it's not organized by La Liga, the Copa del Rey. And Ashik was actually calling us out. He was like, is this a Real Madrid podcast or a Real Madrid hate session? I mean, we have to call a spade a spade. As you rightly said as well, Real Madrid needs to chill because what they're doing is working against them. And then, he was just throwing some banter at Omar, saying that called the club out my foot. Barca fans never called their club out. They're the kings of playing victim. Franco died half a century again, and they still dig his grave. All right, so I think
I represent myself, guys. At the end of the day, I'm a Barca fan that represents myself,
an individual. That's true.
Listen, Barca. Listen, there's a lot of Madrid fans who agree with what Florentino Perez is saying. So, if you're one of them, then that's cool. But not every Madrid fan agrees with this.
That's very true, actually. Yeah. And Ashik also was highlighting. Okay, we were talking earlier with Sahel about the instances where Real Madrid are being punished. He talked about Bellingham getting a red card for swearing, Vini getting a red card for shoving the goalkeeper, while Rafinha goes Mike Tyson on Celta play and nothing happened.
Okay, so can I just quickly answer that? Do you remember last season that Lewandowski was scratching his nose and got a 3-game ban for that? Because apparently the referee thought that he was pointing at him. Did you guys remember that? 3-game ban for scratching his nose. I mean, this is the thing. I could, for every moment you can call out a Madrid thing, I can also mention a time when I felt like my club was unrightfully given suspension or a red card for something stupid. I don't get it twisted. I don't think, it really depends. I don't think players should be swearing at referees, even if, let's say, he didn't swear at the referee, but still. You understand what I'm saying?
Omar, actually, we're missing the point here. This is the thing. We are doing what the RMTV is doing as well. We are missing the point. Yes. The point is not about the fact that who has been hurt the most, Real Madrid or Barcelona. No. The point is the fact that these refs are shit and needs to be held accountable. So we can't keep going around and having a pissing contest that,
and that is the truth. See,
for
that is
each
something
one that
I
you
agree
have,
with,
I have
Farouk.
two. No.
Farouk, that is exactly what I mean. See, when I call out this, I'm not calling out the fans. And that's why I said it before. When I call out Madrid themselves, I'm calling out the people who are in charge of the club, who actually went through this route.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying, right? Because you going through this route doesn't just make you a laughing stock for rivals like me, but it also embarrasses some of you, the fans, as well. Because some of you, the fans, are looking at this saying, bro, like, come on, man. Like, what's your purpose for doing this? Like, what's the purpose for you, doing this, right? We have a cup final tomorrow. We should be focusing on that, but we're focusing on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just mentioned it. Listen, fans are going to be fans. Pundits are going to be pundits. Biasness is part of football. Everybody is biased to their clubs. But we can't sit there and just think for 1 second that, oh, yeah, this club does this, and if this club does that. Listen, we can always do that as rivals. But when we see something out, whether it's our club's doing it or another club doing it, we have to call it out and say, listen, I would not go through this path. Or fans, if you run the club, like if you're Florentino Perez, you can move like a fan. See, fans usually are the ones who complain and cry and say, we should do this and do that. But we expect the club to be bigger than that. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah.
That's true, actually, because as you said, like you said, you represent yourself, like even, your channel and whatever, similar to us here, let's be real as well. Like, we represent ourselves, we represent the channel. But, the figure of Florentino Perez represents the institution, the media outlet of RMTV represents the institution. So what they say carries a different weight, you understand? And I totally, I'm on board with that. Whereas let's get on, like Ashik was saying, our girls won 7-3 today. Our boys will lose 7-3 tomorrow. Okay. And we have Sleepy BS who says hello. And we have Ritrick in the chat. Oh, God, like Ritrick is the OG, actually. Ritrick says hello, guys. Hello, Ritrick. Long time no see. I hope you're doing good, bro. And then we have Michael and Michael TV10.
Oh, Michael TV. Big up to my brother.
Yeah. And then we have like Ashik also talks about Vinny will do what he did best this season. He will hog the ball and not release the ball in time and rile up the crowd and then complain about the crowd. Tomorrow match depends on who Carlo plays in defense and midfield. If he starts a half-fit Mendy to mark Yamal, then it's over. And also shout out to Rajat as well. And also he was actually
a half-fit Mendy still a better defender than fully fit Fran Garcia sometimes.
Well, okay, just take us through what you expect to be the lineup tomorrow for Real Madrid.
I do think he's going to start Mendy. Well, Courtois and goal, and then I do think if Mendy's even 70% fit, he's going to start Mendy because that's the kind of trust he places in that player. Raul Asensio, Rudiger, Valverde right back, in fact. And then Ceballos is fit now, so Ceballos, Bellingham, and Tchouaméni. Right.
Okay.
Camavinga is going to be a big miss in this kind of game. His ball progression and his tackles in midfield. I'm sure Tchouaméni is going to be good, but with the form he's somewhat recovered in the latter part of the season, but not that kind of good. And then it's going to be the standard front three, I think. All
right, the standard front three. So considering we both talk about the two lineups, let's slowly wrap things up. So let's give our guest Omar the honors of doing a prediction. Mm-hmm. What do you think? What are you expecting to see scoreline wise?
Well, I can tell you one thing, it's not going to be a battering. I think Madrid have learned their lesson to not overcommit against us. Or maybe not. Maybe maybe Ancelotti might decide to just go brave again. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be close this time. I think it's going to be closer this time. So I'm expecting a good game, 100%. I'm going to go 2-1 Barca. I think it's going to be closer this time. I can see it being a high-scoring game 3-2, honestly. And what's funny? Because I think I predicted something similar in the first game in the season when we played you guys in the Bernabeu. I said 3-2 and we won 4-0. It surprised me, but I don't know. I feel like this time is going to be close. I feel like you guys will learn your lesson. I'm just going to go 2-1 this time, 2-1 Barca.
For me, actually, I'm going to go something about or similar to what you mentioned earlier. I think a 3-2 Real Madrid victory, because I kind of feel like this is a game that's going to be a bit of back and forth.
Yes,
it's going to be a bit closer. So I do think a 3-2 Real Madrid victory. I'm not going to be surprised if the game goes to extra time, honestly. So
yeah, me too.
I wouldn't be that. So, Sahil, what can you just round up the predictions?
7-3. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
No, no. I think it's going to be. It's not going to be low scoring game. So probably a 2-2 and then extra time. I do feel like if we go into the game with the kind of arrogance we've been showing, with the club has been projecting on the media, we could either run through them. There's a very slight chance we could run through them, or we're going to get humiliated again. Uh, but I do hope from I do really strongly hope that we respect Barcelona in the way we play, right? Because they have been outrightly better than us, and if we do that, we have a good chance at winning. Honestly, so
Yeah.
I'd say 2-2, and then it goes to extra time and pens.
okay. 2 all extra time pens. But we win eventually, or who wins? Though you didn't say that.
I mean, it's difficult to call against Real Madrid when it goes to extra time or pens for that matter.
True, true, true.
No
That's
matter
very
how
true.
bad of a form we are in, we find a way in those situations. And I do think
Yeah.
yeah, if it turns out to be the case, then yeah, I think there's only one winner.
Alrighty, so let's end round it up with the last chat. Sunate says we win 4-2. That's a very bold prediction there. Anyways, guys, there you have it. We've had Omar on. He's giving us his insight, ranging from the whole shenanigans with the referees, to what's happened with, Hansi Flick, the rejuvenation of, Rafinha, the whole academic issues that Real Madrid are having. We've had the input from Sahel as well. So with that, we slowly round up and we just, do some housekeeping and give a shout out, to our partners on Instagram, Real Madrid Committee. So just, give them a look, give them a like, give them a subscribe. They have a lot of very good, arts and illustrations about Real Madrid both pre-game and post-game. And also, like just as we said, like show our friend and me a very good, love. Omar, you can find his descriptions, his links in the description below. Show him some love, like just be kind, He's literally he's a part of the Let's Video family. That's why we call him our friend, and so he's
Thank you.
he's our
Thank you.
friend from the other side, So yeah. And with that, we wrap this up, and I sign out by saying Hala Madrid.
All right, man.